I want to start at a very weird spot, though, in this conversation. I want to ask you about black. I want to ask you about black vinyl. Like, before we get into the wonderful world of color, what is the role of black vinyl today? Like, I once had somebody say to me, like, don't do black anymore. Like, what role is black playing today?
It's a classic. There's always going to be a role for black vinyl. It'll never go out. And black vinyl for us is a baseline, even when it comes to sound quality. So, I mean, we see, of course, there's a surge and a lot of spectacular effects that we got going on. But we still see a huge amount of orders of just black. And I think there is something to be said about sticking to the classics like that. And, mostly we have our legacy bands and artists that the ones you're going to recognize immediately on the radio are sticking with, a nice 180 gram black record. It's archival at that too.
Yeah.
So it's still there. It's quite prevalent and it's still going strong.
Yeah.
But now, sometimes bands, which we see, we're going to add a variant to their order. So where they're like, you know what? Yeah, I'd like a small run of black to keep with the really hardcore collectors. I find are more into the black records for the sound quality, more or less. Not to say anything against the sound quality on any of our other colors, because it's still there too. But I suppose if you're going to judge, a vinyl to its core, it'll be on a black vinyl. That's the standard.
Yeah. Right.
So it still's there. It's still strong. We still go through tons of it.
And I mean, it is kind of associated a little bit more with the audiophile world too. Like it is like it's interesting because we pay more for colors in a way, but yet there are some records where it would seem almost, the records are so classic, the music speaks for themselves, the artwork speaks for itself. It's almost inappropriate to do something colorful, I feel like,
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree.
Well, that's
There's
interesting.
Time and place.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Is there, and I mean, maybe this is a question more for the labels or for the record stores, but is there I just feel like there's a demand for color that it's maybe not a wise investment. Yes, for the legacy artists who are going to sell a copy of Thriller no matter what. But for smaller artists and for record labels, if you're doing 100 to 500, I just feel like there's a lot of pressure to do color. You kind of have to do color. Is that true?
I think, it's a great way to also, for a lot of developing artists, it's also a great way to break into the realm of vinyl, where there could be some pressure, but at the same time, I don't think there might be as much pressure because of the options that they have. And if we're going even, cost-wise, more, they're going with some great programs now ourselves, where we can offer, sometimes we'll have, like right now, we have a promotion going on where we are offering a free upgrade to our eco mixes on our express lines that we have, so that you don't necessarily have to just go with black if you didn't want to. If you're just going to small run, which is also great for developing artists, which is what we're catering this to. Is developing artists may say, okay, yes, I want to run a vinyl. I don't know how it's gonna go over. We'll just start with black, maybe just keep the baseline. But then we turn around and say, if you'd like, you can up the color if you'd like to add a little bit more for the same price. See how that goes over, and then you can dip your toes into that world and really see for maybe future orders how you're doing. So there's a lot of ways around that as far as maybe to wean off the pressure of, oh, man, this is our first release. Do we go big or go home? What do we do here? So
oh, that's interesting. Okay, let's break down the colors because I I think I know what some of them are, or the color options. So you have clear and white, which are in a way kind of we consider colors, right? In the sense that they're not just the standard black. So then, so opaque, and then you have like translucent colors. Then you have like I've seen like where they're kind of like smashing two colors together and like it's unpredictable and every record's different, which is super cool. Splatter, which is pretty common. Blob, I don't know if you call it blob or like where it's like an egg, looks like an egg yolk or something.
Yeah.
I like those. Those are cool. Neons is very attractive. I've done a neon before. I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful color.
Yeah, they're stunning.
What else are there? Like what are some of the other ones I'm missing?
Oh man.
You have 1 hour.
All right, here we go. Okay. If we're going to talk colors, so we have the three categories of colors. It's going to be your solid colors, your translucent colors, and your neons.
Okay.
So there's 48, I believe, altogether.
Okay.
So there's 15 translucents, 24 opaque colors, and 6 neon colors.
Okay.
And there's a glow in the dark in there as well.
Okay.
So, there's a whole whack of colors within those realms. Then you have our effects that we can do.
Okay, that's
colors.
where we divide those. Okay, my apologies.
So then, it's fine. So then you have where you get into the egg drop. Some people call it. We call it color and color. So a color inside another color.
Yes.
The A side, B sides, where we're putting 2 colors together. We can put 3 colors smashed together. We can do a stripe effect, segment, which looks like a pie, a quad. So you got, looks almost like a warning sign.
Right.
We can do picture discs. So the whole entire disc itself is the label artwork. So you really don't see, you just see the edge of the color of the vinyl.
Yeah.
So those are good for like collector pieces. You're going to see that in some Disney stuff, maybe.
Sure.
And, fun stuff projects. But well, really, you can see it anywhere. We've done a lot of picture. Anyone can do it. But there's a lot of different effects that we can do. The ones that I work with the most are blends or marbles. So I can mix a lot of different colors together to make all different kinds of effects. And they can be done not just on our manual presses, but on our auto presses, which means mass production, essentially, on it as well.
How does marble work? Because marble is a really beautiful one.
It is. Oh, man. The sky's the limit when it comes to marble, which is why I love it so much, is that it's just endless possibilities with the colors that we have available to us. And then we have other compound that we use as additives into the compound that we have. So we have, our standard color. So let's say we take a clear record, for example. Yeah. I have other compound that is used, can't be used on its own, but it's used to add an effect to our actual compound. So you know what? I can put a nice pearlescent blue swirl in the middle of that clear record. Wow. I can put a metallic gold shimmer on it. I can do glitter. I can add glitter into any of our transparents. And then on top of that, add other colors as well. So it's endless, which is exciting as it is tiring. Sometimes where I'll get a project and go, oh man, where do sometimes I overwhelm myself.
For sure.
We can do so much with this, How am I going to narrow this down?
The nicest thing is when artists and labels are blessed with like the ability to do multivariants, and like if they're doing a run of 1,000 or maybe like 500 each of like multiple colors plus a black one, that's where it's I envy those people, because they can try out something super rare and
absolutely
experimental. I was looking over some of the stuff you've done, and I'm personally drawn. I think the minimalism. I was originally drawn to clear vinyl because I thought that was like, it was like the new black. It was just very simple. But now I'm kind of getting tired of that, and I'm drawn to like the delicate colors on a clear. Like when you have clear as your base and then you're incorporating something, that seems to be my favorite right now.
Oh, it's just subtle. Just a
subtle.
little,
Yeah.
just a subtle little touch of
Yeah. I saw you had a confetti one where it was like blue, yellow dots or something on clear.
Yeah. It's whatever,
gorgeous.
Basically whatever you want, essentially.
Whatever you want, yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to these colors you were talking about on opaque and stuff and translucent, are those colors that belong to, are they universal colors that you could get at every plant, or does a plant say, no, this is our color, this is our jet blue? Or is there kind of like if I'm doing silver with you and I'm doing another 500 silver at a different plant in America, it's going to be the same? Or like, how does that language work?
It'll be different depending on what plant you go to. So my plant, so Precision Record Pressing in Burlington, we are one of 4 that all kind of work together. So we're sister companies. Our mother hub, if you will, is GZ Media in the Czech Republic. And then our sister companies are Memphis Record Pressing and Nashville Record Pressing. So we all use the same compound as the same suppliers. So our customers, sometimes it'll be some of the orders pressed where we are in Canada, and the other order, part of the order can be pressed in Europe and GZ, or in the States at Memphis or Nashville. And we keep it consistent so that it doesn't matter that what plant between the 4 of us it presses at, that you can have the same mixes, same effects at any one of us. But if you go outside of us, then they're probably going to be using different compounds, and that's where you're going to see some difference. And that's a lot of my job as well, too, is that I will get requests saying, hey, I saw this online somewhere. And, can you do this? And sometimes they turn around and say, we don't carry those colors, but let's see what else, we can do to get close to that. Or sometimes we can match it exactly. Not
like Home Depot?
Yeah, which I worked at as well.
That's a great transition.
That was perfect, yeah. Which I also did at Home Depot when I worked there too.
Funny. But you can sort of do that? You can kind of just come close? Yeah. That's awesome.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. Years ago, I was working on something and I naively wanted them to match the color of the artwork that I was doing, like exactly, and not realizing that I kind of had to work within the colors that the plant had to offer. So what happens when Taylor Swift wants like a new color that has not existed before and she wants it to match something exactly, like when it's a big run, like what happens there?
Well, there's an option for that. So you can have PMS colors matched.
Okay.
The biggest thing is that typically it's for larger orders, and it does cost, it can be a good chunk of change to have that custom made for you. It is a possibility, of course, to have basically any PMS color done for you. But for, it may not be as cost efficient for smaller bands that want to do smaller ones. Usually anything under 1,000 is kind of weighs out that option. So that's something that I've actually personally been working on as well, is creating new colors from our current colors to offer and basically extend our line of colors that we offer. Right. So we actually just launched part of it, our single color premiums, where I took the colors that we have, our standard colors that we have, and I mixed them together at certain percentages to come up with brand new colors out of that, so that we can offer
that is so cool
line. Yeah, some of them turned out really cool.
And then some of them turned out like when you mix all the colors at 7-Eleven, right?
Sure. It's just a little Slurpee, and then it becomes more of a marble, and we'll put that on the back burner, right? So
oh my gosh, that is very similar to Home Depot. You know how they got like the tiny little drops?
Yep, I did all that. I worked at that paint counter.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think that's so cool. I mean, the unique color thing is really interesting. Let's go back to just the colors, whether or not you do color or not. What are the fans saying about color? Like, do you know, and again, this might be more of a question for a record store or a record label, but like, going back to these effects, is there something that is more popular? Is there an effect that's more popular than others? Is there a kind of a bread and butter effect that has not gone out of style? Or maybe the opposite? Maybe there's an effect that people are getting tired of?
Fair enough. I would say, so I started 6 years ago here, and I started as a press operator. So I was there for 2 years, and I would say the difference between then and now is quite staggering.
Really?
When I was pressing, we would get the occasional A side, B side, or smush, or whatever the pucks mixed together. Splatters were here and there, and now it is non-stop effects. It is just taken off, and I can definitely see, just even from when I consult with all the sales representatives we have and the labels that I work with, they want to see what is possible. They want to push some boundaries, and it's been really amazing to see these effects that we've always technically offered, we've always had, and yet still after all this time, I'm seeing things that I've never seen before, and we're doing things with these effects that we've never done before. And it just keeps going. So I would say, a staple would be splatter. Splatter is never going to go out of style either. It's a go-to, I would say, for a lot of effects. It probably because it's so expressive.
Sure.
Because you can have every color you want essentially splattered onto different bases. You can pick a different base. It doesn't have to be clear. It can be whatever color you want essentially. So you can really get so many different feels out of the same effect, which is pretty neat in itself.
I kind of grew tired of splatter, but then when you see it done in a new way, with like the like I mentioned, the splatter on clear, I was like, I haven't seen that been done before. And then maybe mixing in multiple colors, or just a really well chosen 2-color combo that really complements each other. And then it doesn't look like splatter anymore. It looks like they're just weaved together in a really beautiful way. It's surprising how, I feel kind of fatigued, but it is surprising how, once a month I'll see a new variant that's I've never seen that before. Somebody has created something brand new every time. That's kind of exciting.
It's so fresh. And like I said, after 6 years, even for me and everything that I've done here, I still turn around and go, well, that's a nice combo. Well done. That was well thought out. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And even something that, just to add on to splatter, like a refresher, I guess you could say, on an old classic. I started really testing out marbles with splatters as well. So not just a regular base, but what if the background, the base, had some wisps of different colors on top of the splatter on top of it?
Oh, wow.
You can get some pretty unique effects out of that too.
Yeah, that's incredible. I saw, going back to our old friend Black, I saw somebody do creative things with black, which is, to me, is very exciting. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. I should have thought of that. And because I had this design that was yellow and black, and normally I just went clear base, black and yellow, mix onto the clear. It was cool. It was fine, whatever. But I wish that we had started with a black base. Things could have gotten crazy. So I just, people thinking outside the box, even if it means going back to black.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
I like that. I like
Thank
that
you.
tie-in. There's just so much that can be done. Like I said, I'm still exploring. Even just this past week, I had a band, show me something that they wanted. And in my head, I'm like, we've never done anything like that. And I've spent a while racking my brain as far as how can I possibly achieve this. And I was doing things that I have never done before. And it's like, oh, okay, but I live for this though. This is good. This pushes me. It keeps things new and interesting.
How do you experiment? Do you have like some pellets in your office and a machine in your office? And you're like, okay, I'm going to melt this and see how that didn't work. Is that your whole day? Your whole day is just baking pies?
I wish it was my whole day. I would love to say, I swim in compound and I just bathe in it and everything is rainbows. And sometimes it is. A lot of the times I'm at my computer answering a lot of emails about color and pictures. I take a lot of pictures. But I have actually a whole section at our plant, and I have buckets of every single color and compound that we have, so that when I think of, or I need to do a test for a client, or I'm thinking of doing a new line, experimenting, I have all the compound readily available for me. That's just mine. So it's not getting moved around with all of our other production. So I have my own section. I mix all of my mixes, and then I bat my puppy eyes and usually feed Timbits to the operators when I, ask them, hey, can you like run this for me? Can you just maybe like do some tests, I mean, I could do it myself as well, obviously. And sometimes I do. Sometimes when they're on lunch, I'll sneak in on a press and test something out, a theory. But usually, I have to.
Oh my gosh!
I'll bring in a box of Timbits,
I don't like those things, man.
Timbits or donut holes.
That's good. Yeah,
whatever we call them.
Yeah, that's right. Please speak to our international audience.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. You had mentioned that a couple minutes ago. I didn't think that people were like, what are they talking about? Yeah, that just could be a vinyl pressing term. People
It's the name of my next mix, actually.
That's right. That's right. Let's actually, on that note, let's explain this. Let me try to explain to our listener how the pressing process works and how color, and please replace my bad words with the proper terms and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I've seen it happen a couple times and I just want to know if I'm right. So there is this giant box or vat of pellets, right? That is generally one color, whether they're black. Then they're like little BBs or pieces of hail or whatever they are.
Yeah, it's like Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots. That's great. Yes, you definitely want to swim in them. I see what you're 100%. Saying. I definitely. It's a grown-up ball pit. There's no doubt about that.
It really is. Oh,
but I mean, you would probably want to shower afterwards, but anyhow.
Oh yeah, it's like sand. You keep like finding sand. You keep finding that stuff in places. And
yeah. Do you find it at home? Like, does it like come home in your boots and so? Yeah,
all the time. My cats have a heyday. Yeah. Oh, and they'll be batting something around, and be like, "That is neon pink. How did you get that?"
Yeah, how did you do that? Yeah. Or your clients will be like, "Oh, why is there cat hair in my record?"
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's this big thing, and then it gets, I don't know if it gets sucked up or how it gets into the, like, it gets melted basically, right? Into like a goo or something, and then like pushed out like a poop, sort of. And then it's, and then like into, it's like kind of like into a puck then, or is it like, it comes out as a puck or like a donut, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And then if it's just one color, they put the labels on either side and then they squish it, right? Is that it?
That's it.
So then if you are doing splatter, I've seen them take that puck and then somewhere else there's the color splatter. I don't know if it's like a bin or a bucket or whatever it is. And then they roll it like you would do a ice cream cookie, roll into chocolate chips. I'm getting very hungry right now.
Yeah.
Right? Is that correct?
You can do that.
Is that splat or like before the labels go on?
It's all before the labels.
Oh, it's all before the labels.
Yes.
So they just kind of like put some of that color on top of this is like it's not a great podcast.
I got it.
I'm not a good audio description. Okay. and then so then I've seen them do blob where it's like big donut and then a little Timbit for our Canadian listeners.
There you go.
Donut hole on top, and then that's kind of squished together. So like, what are, how does I'm not understanding how the marble works. Is that, you're saying that's a chemical or something? Or
no, it's actually all still compound. So the compound, yes, it looks like Dippin' Dots. They're really tiny little pellets.
It's a great example, yeah.
So as you said, there's the extruder is what we use to heat it up.
Okay, sure.
You got
Call
there.
it what you want.
Box.
Call it what you want.
Something. It's, extruded.
I don't have to report to HR. I can say that I can say what I think it is.
That's fine.
Okay.
And so it goes in, and then inside of it kind of looks like a screw. It's like an auger. And as that travels, it takes the compound, and as it travels up, it has heating sections, and it just starts gradually heating it. And we're looking, depending on the color that we're mixing, they can all be different temperatures. And as operators, they would gear that towards whatever you're running. But it usually, let's say, averages about 135 degrees Celsius by the time it comes out.
Okay.
And so it does come out like a poop. And it goes into a mold. And that forms into, looks like a bagel or a donut.
Right.
So there's going to be a hole in the middle, and that's for the pin to go through.
Yeah.
And in the case of a splatter, we take the same kind of compound, just without it melting. So they're still in their dip and dot phase.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
And we'll have a bin of that. So it could be a single color, it could be multiple colors, and we'll mix them evenly so that there's even distribution of the colors. And you can either press the pucks, we call them pucks, sorry.
Sure,
press them in.
Another Canadian reference.
Another Canadian reference, yeah. Into the splatter.
Yeah.
That will give one effect. Rolling them on the edges actually creates a different kind of effect.
My bad.
Splatter.
Okay.
So it actually makes it look a little different. It's not really customary. Like, it can be done. It's usually like a requested thing, but our standard practice is to just lay it in, and the heat from the puck is what's going to hold in those little dipping dots onto it. And then when it goes into the press, you lay the labels down, you put the puck as a sandwich, now becomes a sandwich, and then it's pressed from there.
And then it's taken off the press, put onto this like turntable where they kind of cut the edge off.
Yep.
Make
Blade
it a nice
comes
circle.
down, cuts off all that trim, and Bob's your uncle.
And it's really surprising how, like, you guys know the timeline, but it's like in 5 seconds you go from nothing to what we would listen to, right?
Essentially, well, it's maybe a little bit longer than that. I would say an average record on the autos. So the autos are going to be a little bit faster because they're only singular colors. There's no manual effects to be done with it. So our auto runs a little faster. We're going to be looking at a record approximately every 28 seconds.
28,
And on manuals, we can do about 35 seconds.
Okay. That's very cool. That's all very interesting. I think it's such a cool process. It's such a human process too, which really makes vinyl beautiful. And one of the things I talk about all the time is how, like, as much as people talk about how the cost of vinyl has gone up and is going up and gets to some really high prices, I still feel like this is such a human process. And and I don't have an issue with the prices going up because of, the product that we're left over. And we're just talking about just the record, not even the music being made or the jackets or whatever.
Yeah, it's vinyl it's more, of course, CDs were great for what they were, but holding a vinyl, I just feel is just so much of a different experience. And it's becomes more of part of the identity, I find, with artists, for how much they can personalize it and just, what they can do with that project. It's like a add-on to the music itself. It's part. That's how I see it anyways. It just contributes to the whole project.
I completely agree. So as we're talking about these colors that we're making, one of my biggest issues with color vinyl and why I could almost be convinced to just stay at black forever is, and this is coming from like a design perspective, is the way that the vinyl color interacts with the jackets and the sleeves. And in so many cases, at major labels, at labels I see online, and in my own experiences, they interact poorly, or it's just slightly off. The idea. We're talking about plastic on vinyl, and we're talking about just such a different application, and it's shinier and it's more vibrant in some cases versus paper. As a completely different canvas. So when I'm choosing the vinyl color, I am never, although I got talked into it recently and I regretted it, but I never try to color match the album cover with the vinyl color because it's just a crapshoot. Like it's just like a real shot in the dark of making that work. In my opinion, you're the expert. I'm sure you know how to do it, but like, especially without going the Pantone route. Anyway, I'm just curious about like, and the same thing for the labels. The labels get baked and they change color. We have CMYK. This is a nightmare for me. Please, like any advice here on what do we do?
For anyone looking to match their specific projects going on, I mean, it is best, and what I usually suggest, if they're that specific, to either get my hands on physically of, the jackets or the artwork itself.
Right.
Because looking at a screen, of course, is one thing. You can send me something, but my monitor might look different than anybody else's, and which I've had before. I've matched something to a monitor. They got it in hand and went, "Oh, but it looks different on my phone."
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, sure. So usually in that case, I'll say, all right, I'll send me the jacket or send me a physical copy of something I can have in hand. Or, sometimes it'll go the other way around where they'll say, can you send me samples of these colors or this effect so that we can see if it really matches our work. And
I see.
So I do. I send samples all over the place.
That's awesome.
To narrow it down. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never thought about that. There's like the difference between RGB and CMYK, like we don't even need to get into, but like it really is, just this, like the paper is so muted and so it's not backlit like our screens are. And then it just looks different than plastic. I will generally try to have a complementing color or a color that's pulled out of something that you can't really color match. You can't put them next to each other. But if you have an all green album cover and then you go for an all green vinyl, I've never seen it done to perfection. I have a major label release from Rhino, and like the color was so off, it was just laughable. It was two yellows, and it was just, no offense if you did it, but like it was just like, I'm like, why did you try? You know what I mean? Aside from white works, but anyway.
I get it. There are times where I'll walk past a project and go,
what a miss.
Missed opportunity for sure. But we're mitigating that a lot these days. So I've definitely started with this whole color program, just reaching out to all of our sales reps, and they're so receptive. Our guys are amazing, and they never hesitate to ask any questions and even introduce me to the labels themselves.
Nice.
And the amount of emails I get per day tells me that, people are really into this. This is really special, and it's really important, and it's a need. And that, clearly might have been missing. And for the most part, I hear we had no idea that this was even an option. We had no idea that this was possible. And I get that every day. And so it's nice. I get, the feedback you even get from labels going, oh my God, thank you. Like finally, okay, let's roll. Let's go now. So.
Well, I mean, the whole theme of the show, and you touched on it, is that, the stuff that we're making is like, it's such an experience to hold the record and to listen to the record, to collect the record, to buy it, to find it, like just all of these things. And that's just from the music fans' perspective. And then you have the label and you have the artist. And so to put this type of thought into it and this care, it totally makes sense.
Absolutely.
What is I won't hold you to this, but I want to talk a little bit about the cost of doing color from black. And let's just use some arbitrary numbers because I just am more curious about the percentages. So like if a black record is going to cost me $10 each, what if I'm going to use one of your opaques or one of your neons, I would imagine that's a leap from 10 to whatever. And then if I'm doing effects, and then is it how many colors that I incorporate? So how does that work? And what type of leap are we talking? What type of percentage increase are we talking?
If you're going just standard colors, so let's say, yes, black is your baseline, so it's going to be your cheapest. If you wanted to go to a just a straight opaque color, straight transparent, or neon, there's marginally a small, very small percentage that is a little bit more than black. When it comes down to effects that are using multiple colors, you're going to start seeing a little bit more charges because it's taking more equipment also to work. So, for example, in an egg or a color and color, A side, B side, those require more equipment to be used. So we're going to have setup charges, so on and so forth. When it comes down to marbles, there is a little bit, but it doesn't necessarily matter how much color is used in those ones. So it's kind of a nice little medium where you can get really nice effects without spending an exuberant amount. As per, it's not going to be as expensive as, a record that's going to use like a 3-colored smash or one of our quads or so. Okay. There's so many variables within there, but it's not going to be, drastic for something like a marble versus something that's going to take multiple machines to run, and also the labor that it takes to physically make
that
it.
Makes sense.
So yes, black is a baseline, but you can still get a real nice looking effect for a very, very small percentage above that. And we have this kind of fun program that we're working on with I think I touched upon it earlier, but our eco mixes. So we are working on our goal. Our goal overall as a company is to stop excess vinyl from going to the landfill. So we are recycling at a large rate at that. So any records that we make that either have some kind of defect on it or just don't pass our quality in general, we are grinding down. We are taking apart, taking the labels off, obviously, get that out of there, grinding down and recycling it and reusing it with the whole goal that we are not sending that to the landfill. Yeah. And so with that, obviously some colors we can do like pure colors and it gets recycled right back into the machine as the press is running. So on like our autos, if we're running just white, we can grind it on site and it keeps recycling it through the waste that comes off.
Doesn't make a difference. Does not
make a difference. No, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah. And it'll recycle it back in. And then with the other recycled bits that we have, we created our eco mixes is what we called. So we have 6 different variants, colors. So red, blue, green, yellow, purple, and graphite color. So that you can have real unique custom looking marbles and mixes all from our recycled material and for a fraction of the cost. As well. So
and there's a bit of a selling feature to your fans too.
Absolutely. Right? And there has been. It's been a big push for not only us, but there's a couple very large artists out there who are pushing towards that. More sustainable packaging as well we're looking at. And we've even started, again, working with the offset of our carbon footprint, but we as a company are tree planting even. So I was even out there planting some trees in our local community. Nice. So it's a big push for us. And I worked with them when we were developing it to curate the colors so that they look nice. That's right. Your recycled material isn't going to come out looking not very desirable,
Here's my request for you, and maybe you can talk to the higher ups for this. Sure, I want to take all of my records that nobody bought. And I want to recycle those into my new record. Is that possible? Can we take, fans would love that. I'd be like, you didn't buy the first record. Maybe you'll buy it now that it has new music on it.
I think that's fair. And I think the one concern, maybe the concern about it would be, we don't know who all the suppliers are of that PVC. So when it comes down to melting them all together, then the sound quality may not be there. And we might run into some more issues. But something to talk about. Sure.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll bring
thank
that up
you.
in the next meeting. For sure.
Yes, please do.
Why not?
Please do. I have a lot, unfortunately. Okay. This has been so much fun to chat with you about color vinyl. It is
Great.
such a world. I envy your job. And I just think it's so cool. I'm excited to hear that there's like still innovation happening in this space, that you are always kind of, I got to think that there is a bit of fatigue with color. I mean, just maybe people misdirect the price onto color and stuff. But like at the end of the day, and and I love my old records that are black, but there's still sometimes when a record comes out on a beautiful variant or some sort of scheme, and I'm like, well done, I need to have that.
That's going on the wall. I'm going to listen to it, and then I'm hanging it on the wall for the most part sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, from an economic standpoint too, like I know a lot of artists are charging more for their color. So it can, you can have it as a way for fans who want something special to pay higher price for the color, as they should, because it costs more to make. But having it as a premium, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, we see it here too. Of course, we see one band making 7 different variants that are only going to be offered at certain retailers. So it's kind of, it's like a collector's thing too. Like, did you get the variant that was sold only here? Or, when you're looking for vinyl and you think to yourself, I really want that variant. I really want that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of excitement behind it.
I've always wanted to do like a hometown variant. I always thought it'd be kind of fun to do like, your own, like the city where you live, for your favorite record store or the 3 record stores in your town.
Yeah.
That you can only get it from there. You can't get it online. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before.
I think we have, but maybe you and I should talk after this.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make that.
Okay. We'll make a
we can
donut.
make that happen.
A donut,
Yeah.
a Timbit themed.
Exactly.
Thanks so much. Great to chat with you.
You as well. Thank you.